Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order for the Wheaton Park District for January 18th, 2017. Could we have the roll, please?
Commissioner Vyers.
Here.
Commissioner Morrill.
Here.
Commissioner Mee.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
President Hodgkinson.
Here. We're going to begin tonight's discussion with a presentation on the 2016 to 2000 strategic plan year. And I'm not sure, Mike, are you leading that or is
I'm just going to kick it off. Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
Great. We'd like to thank such a nice turnout in the audience tonight, too.
A forced turnout, I'll bet you.
I think there are some that were forced.
What you see behind me is 0 people forced to come to a board meeting.
Sure, Mike. It's a good thing you got your back turned to.
Exactly. We're here today. We're very proud to be reporting year 1 progress on our 2016 through 2020 strategic plan. As you may recall, the 2016 through 2020 plan is a plan that was written with the input and hard work and assistance and leadership by all of the people standing behind me, all walks of life in our employee community here at the Wheaton Park District, all business units, all divisions, all departments, part-time, full-time, some seasonal. We're different at the Wheaton Park District. We do not pay a consultant to write our strategic plans. We write it. That gives us ownership. That gives us accountability to you, the Board of Park Commissioners, and the citizens of the Wheaton Park District on whose behalf we work. I can tell you with confidence and all kidding aside that everybody in this room tonight is excited about the plan that they've written, excited about the year 1 progress they're about to illustrate to all of you. And I could not be prouder to be the director of the Wheaton Park District with the amazing talent that we have, and not to mention the many, many thousands of dollars that we save the taxpayer and you by writing our own strategic plan. Strategic plans get written by others. They get put on a shelf. They get written by employees. They get written by team members. They get executed, and they get executed fast. Without any further ado, I would yield the floor to Diane Hirschberg, representing the Measurement, Survey, and Analysis Charter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So my name is Diane Hirschberg, Human Resource Manager. Last year, we conducted a community survey, and the results were shared with the staff in last November. They can use this to assist them in guiding future projects and ideas from the community feedback that we receive. In January and March last year, we conducted the employee and manager surveys. Those results were shared with staff in June. They were put into categories and given to the corresponding charter teams as feedback to use as they needed. In November, we shared the final results with staff along with a visual summary. One of the changes that were made based on this feedback was an improvement to our employee recognition program, which we had last October. For this year's objectives, we will be conducting an employee survey on January 27th and February 8th, and the manager survey will be on March 17th. Our goal is to receive these results by early September and then compare them to our 2016 survey results to see how things have changed or improved. Again, we will then divide the results into categories and give them to the corresponding charters, hopefully the end of summer, to again use as they see fit. Thank you. Next, I'd like to present the Board Partnership and Community Engagement Team.
Good evening. My name is Deb Ditchman. I'm the Environmental Education Supervisor over at the Lincoln Marsh, and I represent the Board Partnership and Community Engagement Team. As you can see, during year 1, we have been quite busy, but here are a few of our highlights. This year, we have recruited Commissioner Vyers to be our board liaison to the DuPage County Historical Museum Foundation. This means that we now have board representation on all of our foundations. We have included a Get Involved information section in all of our seasonal brochures that gives patrons information about all of our foundations if they want to become more involved within the Park District. We have created a spreadsheet with the contact information for all of the partners district-wide. And then we have organized a partnership with the Wheaton Public Library to replenish the Little Free Library at Cosley Zoo. Moving forward into year 2, we also have several goals. These include, but are not limited to, continuing to expand our library partnerships, to create a schedule of story times in the sensory playground, to create a rotation and schedule to contact 3 to 5 partners each month, to inform them of upcoming sponsorship opportunities, to increase the district's social media presence by making the public aware of all of the hashtags that are being used within the Park District. And then we are going to do some research to see what would be needed to create a Wheaton Park District phone app. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to the internal communication team, excellence team. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jackie Boehm, and I am a part-time customer service tenant at the community center. Our internal communications team is ever evolving and always changing. So pretty proud of what we've been able to accomplish in year 1 based on the success that OneNote has had throughout certain departments of the Park District. We chose to implement that Park District wide. So there are 1 or 2 remaining departments that we still need to continue to implement that. And that's expected to be done by February. And then as far as survey analysis, everything that we've identified as opportunities are based off the surveys that have been implemented. So it's coming directly from the employees of the Park District of areas that need attention. So this year we analyzed both of those surveys, the UIC and the Denison, and identified onboarding and leadership development as needs, to improve upon. We one of the main things was to develop new employee onboarding and a new formal orientation, and that will be taking place on January 23rd, as well as there was a need for a training program to be developed for the leaders of our community, of our Wheaton Park District. So that's what we've been working on for this year. As we move forward, for the OneNote team, we're looking to follow up on the progress of that, how it's being utilized, and also improving upon that. If there's additional training needed, we've identified that some of the groups are asking for training sheets, but that's been a positive communication vehicle that we're improving upon. And then we're also going to continue to evaluate the surveys that identify these needs of opportunities. How are we doing? How can we continue to improve? And then potentially have a facility tour, park tour. I think there's so many beautiful parks within our park district. A lot of us don't even know there's so many of them. So having that as an optional tour for our associates, and then implement the leadership plan that's been identified as a need for our leaders within the park district. And with that, I'll be introducing the Programming and Recreation Services team.
Hi, my name's Becky Egan. I'm the Program Administrative Assistant at the Lincoln Marsh. And the strategic objective for the Program and Recreation Services Charter is to evaluate and optimize programming opportunities to ultimately reduce the agency-wide cancellation rate to 25% or less. So during the past year, we've made several strides towards this goal. One of the things we've done is create a cancellation rate by activity type prototype, where each season we will look back and create a report which will detail not only the agency-wide cancellation rate, but also a breakdown that'll show the cancellation rate by activity type. And then any activity types that are over the 25%, we'll do a further breakdown of those to break it down to programs and which types of programs are the ones that are canceling more frequently. We've identified representatives for each program type, so as we generate these reports, they will be emailed out to the representatives, and if their area is above 25%, they'll meet with their team to discuss the programs that are canceling more frequently and respond to a few questions, answering, why is their cancellation rate greater than 25%, and what are some of the changes that they're going to be working towards to change that. We took this plan and proposed it to superintendents, directors, and managers who had direct reports that are responsible for programming. And with their support, we then presented it to program supervisors in November. Our first report that will be going out to staff will be the fall 2016 report, which should be emailed out sometime in February. Another tool that we were working on is guidelines and general considerations for developing for program expansion, program development, and program elimination. That document was also proposed to the superintendents and rolled out to the supervisors along with the cancellation rate analysis plan. And this document of guidelines is just helping the supervisors, give them some things to consider, some things to follow and think through as they're deciding what programs are doing really well, can I expand on them, what new programs can I offer, and then also looking at programs that may be struggling, whether they're new programs trying to take off or old programs that have been around for a long time, and what kinds of things can we do to either get those reinvigorated or decide that we should put our efforts elsewhere. A third area that we were working on this year was identifying program and service gaps through analysis in order to broaden our reach. One area we looked at was residents and non-residents. We noticed that there are a lot of non-resident households in Rec Track. We had a couple different population studies from shopping areas around Wheaton that showed how great of a population there is just beyond our borders. And through discussions, we saw that as an area where we could broaden our reach, particularly in league sports where children may want to participate with classmates and friends that are within the district when they're just on the outlying borders. So we worked together with the marketing department to create a direct mailing to kind of pilot that idea. Here's the direct mailing that went out for our baseball and softball program. This went out on December 1st to about 7,000 households just beyond the park district boundaries. And we're going to be, as part of the next steps of that, we'll be working with the marketing team to track and analyze the success of that. We also analyzed the age segmentation, so looking at Rec Track, what kind of programs are we offering for the different age groups. We looked at Wheaton census data as well as District 200 forecasting. And with that, we're taking that data and moving into some of our year 2 objectives, where we'll focus on providing programs, events, and services with the greatest unmet needs. So we'll further analyze that Rec Track data and to determine if there's any age categories that we need to be offering more for. We'll also be looking into the community attitude and interest survey. Then we'll also develop methods to engage underserved populations, specifically looking into the leadership program and what else we could do with that. And finally, we'll strategically identify partnerships to support a full range of offerings, both external as well as internal, so that we can increase our program value and also our cross-marketing opportunities. Next up, we're going to have the Facility Planning for Profit and Sustainability team.
Good evening. I am Mike Walsh, and I had the awesome opportunity of being an intern here for the Special Facilities Department this past fall and early winter. During my experience here, I was able to work with the Facility Planning for Profit and Sustainability team, and one of our first objectives was reducing our reliance on property taxes. So this is annually achieved within the district culture of our annual budget drafting process, and we have different divisions work to forecast the true direct and indirect expenses. And then we also want to maximize revenue while either reducing or maintaining our expenses. So in 2015, only 33.5% of the district's total revenue was attributed from property taxes. So that was pretty good. Moving on, we wanted to promote the district-wide culture of sustainability. So we worked with and produced accessible RFP for our special event T-shirts. So that's anything from the Brewfest to different races that we have. And this RFP included 12 vendors for a ton of different events that we have upcoming in 2017. This was awesome because we have a minimum savings this year of $2,500 compared to 2016. The pricing and cost information will be shared across the departments for when they're going to use their different T-shirt specific orders. We also began a district-wide office supply analysis, which examined 3-year history among our top 3 vendors for office supplies, which included Staples, Shane's Office Supplies, and Office Depot. We compared the pricing on all the different items ordered, and then we also identified the frequent and high volume products that we bought. So in year 2, moving forward, we going to continue to promote a district-wide culture when it comes to best business practices. So we're going to encourage and seek the best pricing for purchases like we did with the T-shirts and figure out where we can save money. We're going to seek to introduce a district-wide purchasing program for office supplies while working with the leadership team to disseminate and launch into the agency practice and culture. So we'll look to continue this and see if we can do something like that with the office supplies. Thanks for the opportunity to be here and graduate, and I'll leave the floor to Greening or Park District team.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Martinson, and I am the Preschool and Camp Manager. So to briefly summarize some of our Year 1 objectives in 2016, we analyzed our existing green initiatives that have been implemented, and we compiled a full list of our district-wide green initiatives so we could better track our progress. Our 80% completion rate comes from our current progress of completing a green accomplishment report. We're hoping to have that report ready for everyone this spring. We also worked with SCARES, which is the School and Community Assistance for Recycling and Composting Education organization, and we pursued and achieved the Earth Flag, which was displayed to everyone this past November. We're excited to begin displaying that at our facilities this current year. We also worked to develop and implement ways to educate staff and patrons on some of our recycling efforts. Some of these methods include we hosted a kids activity table at the Scarce Green Fair. We created green team tips that were sent via Park District e-blasts to our community. We also updated recycling program print materials, and we updated our website with recycling information also. We also created a new flyer for internal staff with recycling information. And moving on to 2017, some of our highlighted objectives that we're working on include continue to further educate our staff and patrons on our recycling and green initiatives that we have here at the Park District. We're in the initial planning stages to again work with SCARES and to pursue and earn our water quality flag. The water quality flag is earned through various water quality and stormwater management trainings and initiatives. So like I said, we're in the early stages with that one. And we also plan to further the advancement of our green initiatives district-wide based on recommendations from SCARES and also recommendations from our internal green team. And next up, I'd like to welcome the Park and Open Space team.
Good evening. I'm Steve Hinchy, Superintendent of Planning. The master plan that you approved earlier this year includes over 300 individual projects ranging from some pretty small, simple things to some other large and more complex projects. The projects were organized according to priority, budget, and complexity. In 2016, a little over $2.3 million of capital projects were completed. At this stage, approximately 7% of those 300 projects are fully completed, and another 14% are in either the stages of research, planning, or permitting. A few highlights from 2016 include the new chiller at the Central Athletic Complex, which adds air conditioning to the facility. And as you know, we designed that with the dual use of being able to chill ice in the wintertime, which we just had our ribbon cutting this past weekend. Some other projects include new gym floors and bleachers at the Central Athletic Complex. We continue to maintain our asphalt pavement, and we did several fence replacements this year. The north side tennis courts were resurfaced. Brighton Playground was replaced. The playground surface at Sunnyside was repaired. And we added to the Lincoln Marsh staff parking to create better parking up there and better flow. And a small storage garage was built at Graff Park. Staff has been working hard to improve and expand communications related to capital projects, both internally and externally. This past year, we performed targeted surveys of the Scottdale neighborhood, asking questions about the playgrounds and other park improvements there, and that will guide future planning at both Scottdale and Hull parks. We had some meetings with our neighbors, including Rathje Park, Memorial Park, and Seven Gables, to discuss various plans we have going on in those parts of town. Planning staff has also begun a weekly or semi-weekly email to department heads to better communicate the status of capital projects. And the marketing department has worked closely with us to increase public awareness of projects such as the Central Athletic Center ice rinks and a planned accessible treehouse that we have on tap for Play for All. Based on the recent attitude and interest survey, communication about our plans was noted as an area that we still have some room to grow. And so as we move into 2017, our budget was developed with the master plan as the guiding element of that. And some of the things we have to look forward this year include the completion of the Cosley Zoo Animal Welcome Center, the new Rec and Roll facility to serve WDSRA at Central Athletic Complex, the community center building envelope repairs to keep and preserve that asset within our district, and the Scottdale playground replacement. There's several more, but those are just a few highlights. In 2017, we will continue to expand our efforts in communication. We will continue to do the targeted surveys and neighborhood meetings. We'll explore the possibility of tapping into social networks such as Facebook to maybe solicit some input for focus groups. And internally, staff plans to begin utilizing OneNote to better share information for project management of capital projects across departments that we need to coordinate with. And finally, we hope to launch a web map which will help to describe and highlight various projects within the master plan to the public. The strategic plan has been a rallying point this past year to bring our organization together around some common goals. Over this past year, the Wheaton Park District has made some good progress. On behalf of the staff, I would like to thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to working with you and the community toward making our park district a success. Thank you.
Are there any questions of board members about the plan? Yeah, Ray?
I'd just like to make a comment, and I've said this to Mike in the past. I'm extremely proud of the staff and your willingness to get involved in the master plan and strategic plan process. I know that it takes you away from your normal duties to be involved in one of these charters, and I do appreciate it and I do understand it, and I can assure you it wasn't always the case. But I'm glad to see the direction we're going in, and thank you very much.
Great. Terry?
Yeah, well done by all. And I think, I was kidding Mike a little bit, but, he said it well, that, it's obvious that there's a lot of buy-in by all of you. So, that collaborative effort is it showed through very well in the presentation. So thanks.
Other comments? John or John? Okay. Mike, did you have any other comments for the staff?
No,
Okay. Well, I'd just like to congratulate you and thank you all on this excellent beginning to this whole plan. I realize it's going to be a journey for us, and we're excited about it, and we're going to try to help you as much as we possibly can to achieve your goals. So thank you very much. Good. Now, if you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting, you're more than welcome to.
Or get out.
And if you want to go home and start working on your part of the plan now, you can do that as well. So thanks again.
Don't be bashful.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well done.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, moving along. Let's. Do we have any community input tonight, Donna? Okay. The consent agenda.
How about the adult ed report?
Is the adult ed going to be
That's at
done
the
now?
Under
That's-
staff reports.
that's at the
later
end.
on.
At the staff reports at the end? Okay.
Matt Roble has to stay.
Yeah, sorry, Matt. Yeah. Okay, the consent agenda. I'm looking for approval for the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve it?
Move to approve consent agenda as presented. A, B, and C, approval of disbursements totaling $2,472,919.62 for the period beginning December 7, 2016 and ending January 10, 2017. B, approval of regular meeting minutes of the Board of Park Commissioners from December 14, 2016. And C, acceptance of Mark Schobel's resignation from the Board of Park Commissioners effective January 1, 2017.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by me and a second by Vyers to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any comments?
I'd just like to thank Mark Schobel for his some 28 years of being a Park District Commissioner. We're gonna miss him, and we appreciate all the time and effort he put into this board and for the community. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Mark. All right, I'm going to ask for a roll call vote then on our consent agenda.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. All right, moving along. Our next item is Ordinance 2017-01. This is for the approval of a lot of equipment.
I'll move to approve Ordinance 2017-01, approving the disposal and sale of personal property owned by the Wheaton Park District.
Second.
We have a motion by Vyers and a second by Kelly to approve this. Information on this, information of what is being sold is on the Park District website for a complete listing of every item that will be available and how you could go about and find out about it. Any other questions or comments?
Just a comment to Mike. Mike, good job on the regular disposal process. I think it makes it easier than trying to do it all at one time a year. It's
Agreed.
Good work.
Donna leads the charge on circling the departments to give her the details on the information that we need to dispose of. So I commend a
Good work,
commendation
Donna.
to her.
Thank you. Let's have a roll call for this, too.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yep.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. All right, thank you. Next is approval of a license agreement for the temporary access work and work activities within the Lincoln Marsh on the sanitary district interceptor. Is that correct? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by me and a second by Kelly. Discussion?
It's a question, Mike. I know that we've discussed it, but can you elaborate on just what this agreement entails?
Essentially, the sanitary district has a very large interceptor replacement project that is going to begin potentially in 17, maybe in 18, depending on when they secure all of their easement agreement relationships with both the private and the public sector. This particular agreement is done jointly with the Forest Preserve District because we jointly own much of Lincoln Marsh, where the sanitary district already has an easement through, and the nature of the work that needs to be done, and we're uncertain at this juncture when it's going to occur, but we're assisting the sanitary district in completing at least this part of an enormous amount of work that needs to be done to gain access to the areas required to improve the sanitary lines from, Rob, where to where are we going, south to north?
Basically, it starts down at Atten Park where their plant is and extends all the way from Atten Park up north through Northside Park, and eventually it gets up to Carroll Stream.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Rob, if I'm not mistaken, all the work they're doing is within their own easement, correct?
And this one in particular,
We have other easements to approve when they're working outside the easements they already have, correct?
That's correct, and we still have a few more beyond this, primarily Northside Park.
All right. Other questions or comments?
Just that it's been a lot of work, and I want to commend Rob and his team for working closely. I've been involved in working with my counterpart at the Sanitary District and as well as the Forest Preserve District, but the heavy lifting has been done by Rob and his people in making sure that this gets done in a way that fairly compensates the Forest Preserve and the Park District for lost trees, as well as lost use of property. And I think all three parties are very pleased with this outcome. This stuff doesn't happen fast. It doesn't happen on accident. It takes a great deal of planning and advance work. And so thank you, Rob.
How about a roll call for this?
Certainly. Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. The next item is approval of a change order for additional civil engineering. John, do you need to make the motion for this?
Yeah, I'll make. So I move that we approve a change order for additional civil engineering work by V3 companies for an additional $9,500 for the Central Athletic Center ice rink project.
Second.
Okay, now I have questions.
We have a motion by Kelly and a second by Morrill. Yeah, John?
Okay, so Steve, remember we were talking about was the $9,500 the correct dollar amount and you were going to check into it and get back to us?
It is a not to exceed amount. So what they have billed us to date is less than that amount.
Okay.
And talking to the engineer, depending on what direction we go with getting the agreement to make that parking lot happen, it's not likely that there'll be a whole lot more billed toward that. So it will likely be less than the 9.
So the change order will read not to exceed then?
Correct.
And they're going to use the change order as the authorization to do the work then?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yes.
It's not done yet, right? Not all of it?
Not all.
Okay. I mean, I was going to say if we had the final number, we should just write the change order for the final number, but we don't have the final
We
number
don't
yet.
have the final number.
Okay.
I think we should probably adjust that motion, don't you think?
Yeah, it should, yeah. So I can amend my motion that we approve a change order in the amount not to exceed $9,500.
We'll make the change.
Okay.
And I'll agree to that.
And you agreed to that, Ray? Okay. All right, so we have a motion and a second not to exceed $9,500 for this expenditure. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next we'll be talking about the gym curtain at the Central Athletic Complex.
Yes. So I'll move that we approve a quote from Her Directors for the replacement of the Central Athletic Center main gym divider curtain in the balcony in the amount of $9,995.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Morrill to approve this. Questions or
Yeah, I
comments?
do. So
Yeah.
Steve, again, you can stay. So 2 questions. This is, based on what I read, we're replacing it immediately because it's not in the best of shape and we consider it a safety issue, correct?
Actually, Steve didn't have a whole lot on that
Oh,
one.
this is you, Rob?
Mary
Okay.
Beth and myself looking
Okay.
at it along with Paul. Yeah, it's in bad shape. We don't like putting it up.
It's the one that's being talked about in the report we got.
Correct.
So my other question was, we have 3 different prices that we went out for quote. Did all 3 guys bid? Did we give them a spec for fabric weight and all that, and they're all bidding the same thing? Or are we getting a cheaper product for $9,900 than we would be getting for $14,000? I mean, normally there's a set standard you want everybody to.
Mark worked with the vendors from the Parks Department over at the community center, And he did state that he wanted to have everybody, he went back to the vendors to make sure everything was in line, that we were looking at the same things.
So that
Each
would
of
be
the
nice
bids.
to have as an attachment to the quotes. I mean, I looked through the quotes and I couldn't tell what we were buying off the quotes. It just didn't spell out any of the specs for what we were getting.
We can provide you with the specification of what that is.
I just like to see that all the bidders are bidding, the same quality, and I couldn't tell that from the quotes. Okay.
Other comments? Okay, we'll have a voice vote on this one. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. All right, next is the approval for the purchase of the Arrowhead Pro Shop. This is the advance approval you're looking for, right, Andy?
Correct.
For the purchase of the Pro Shop. I think the sale's next week, the show's next week, right?
That is correct.
From the merchandise that they may find at the golf show that they're going to. So is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion, move to approve the future purchase of Arrowhead Pro Shop resale merchandise from Titleist for an amount not to exceed $15,000 at the PGA Merchandise Show. Will take place January 24, 27.
Second.
We have a motion by me and a second by, I'm going to give this one to Morrill. Other questions, comments?
It's the same thing we do every
It's
year.
the same thing that we did last year, I believe, isn't it?
My only question would be, could we look at just amending our policy that if we're buying material for resale, that, maybe we don't have to go through this every year because, we're just buying stock to sell it.
I'll make a note.
I'm just wondering if we could look at our,
Sounds like a great idea.
But we're actually approving.
Last year, though, didn't we buy golf carts, though?
No, we're shopping for golf carts this year that we'll buy in
The more they buy, the
18.
more they sell.
Golf carts would definitely be more, so we definitely have some.
Not really.
We'll take a look at, with the 2017 review of the finance and purchasing policies. I see Rita
Just on
writing.
product
See
for
Rita writing
resale.
over there. She's making a note on resale products, Rita. We can take a look at that. Maybe get some idea on what other folks are doing in that regard to make their life easier, which we appreciate, John.
Let's go ahead and have a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
President Hodgkinson.
Yes.
Same question, different stuff.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Kelly. Is there a second?
Yeah, I think we'll elaborate on that a little bit. So John's motion was the move to approve the future purchase of Arrowhead Pro Shop resale merchandise from Under Armour for an amount not to exceed $15,000. Once again at the PGA Merchandise Show, January 24 through 27.
So
I second that.
One of these motions pertains to Titleist equipment that we'd be buying, and the other one pertains to Under Armour.
That's
All right.
correct.
All right. And did you second that?
I seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion by Kelly and a second by me to approve this. Any other comments? Roll call. Let's do it.
Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
President Hodgkinson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next we need to talk about this computerized maintenance management system. Is there a motion to approve this?
Apparently nobody wants to do it.
Sure, I'll do it. I move we approve a software licensing agreement and related startup costs with TMA Systems for a computerized maintenance management system at a cost not to exceed $33,000 for year 2017.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Kelly and a second by Vyers to approve this. Discussion, questions? This was discussed at the committee level a couple times, I believe.
Yep.
Any other questions then? All right. Roll call.
Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill.
Yes.
Commissioner Mee.
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly.
Yes.
President Hodgkinson.
Yes. All right, we have a request to create a new full-time position within the Parks and Planning Department.
Move to approve a new full-time position with the Parks and Planning Department for agency special events operations and sign production and placement with a starting wage of $17.50 to $20 per hour plus benefits.
We had a motion by Vyers and a second by Morrill. This was also discussed several times at the subcommittee level. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes. All right, we have the next item on our agenda is the approval of a new full-time position for outdoor athletics operations and maintenance. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve the outdoor athletic area operations and maintenance individual with a starting wage range of $17.50 to $20 per hour plus benefits.
Second.
We have a motion by Morrill and a second by Vyers to approve this new position. Further discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes.
And Rob has promised not to ask for any more full-time positions in the next 10 years. Did you not say that at the last subcommittee meeting, Rob?
I'm going to have to look back at the notes on
That's
that.
right.
Yeah, that's what I recall.
Second.
Right.
Not on the agenda, folks. We can't take action on it.
Thank you. I appreciate your support.
Yes, sir.
All right, next we are looking for approval for the Wheaton Park District to sell.
If I may interject, we'd like, based on some pre-game dialogue, we'd like to amend the motion we'd like to amend the motion that we hopefully you will make and approve to change 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. being the boundary period of time that we would sell beer and wine.
11 a.m. to
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
Don't think anybody's going to be hammering them down at that early hour. Amen.
Or at 5 below.
Mm-hmm.
These are hockey players, remember.
Is
Good plan.
Is there someone that would like to make this motion?
I'll make that motion that we approve the Park District to sell beer and wine within the perimeter of the Central Athletic Complex athletic fields and ice rink areas between 11 a.m. and 9 p.m. on February 4, 2017 as part of the Winter Tough Hockey Tournament put on by the R33M Foundation, apparently in conjunction with Ross K. McNeil Foundation to End Pediatric Brain Cancer. Would that be correct, Mike?
That would.
All right.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by me and a second by Morrill to approve this request. Questions and comments? Yeah, Terry?
I got a question for Mike. Mike, is it the tournament personnel who suggested this beer and wine, or is this something that we
the tournament host who's renting the facility for this event requested the ability to sell concessions, including beer and wine and food, and that is not a concession that I feel should be given away to another party, regardless of the goodness of the cause.
Sure.
Especially when our liquor license is at play.
Gotcha.
We like to maintain control, and we also like to maintain, a piece of profitability when we're doing events such as this. So, yes, they want the service. They wanted to make the money on it, but that was part of negotiating the rental.
Sounds like a plan.
And then will the city weigh in on this as well?
The city, we always go to the city liquor commission before we come to the park board. So we will never come to you and ask for the ability per our park use ordinance to sell alcohol at an event in a park without first having prior approval from our Wheaton Liquor Commission, which we have.
Mike, what kind of staffing will we have on hand for this event?
If you're familiar, related to this particular action or beyond that?
I'd say who's going to be on the ice or around the ice and who's going to be in the concession stands.
The Arrowhead staff is supervising the food and beverage sales. So these are all Bassett-trained folks, and, this is what they do for a living. And we may have some, staff, some senior management staff who want to volunteer as well. Or maybe a commissioner would like to volunteer to sell some brats. But beyond that, Nick Novak's team, our trade superintendent, is the point person for making sure that everything that the renter is requesting happens in the way that they wish it to happen and that they're compensating us for. So, I don't know exactly how many people Nick's going to have out there. I would imagine at the very least 2 throughout the day, maybe more. Rob can help me out there. And maybe another, 2 or 3 people, preparing and selling food and beverage. So I reckon we'll, at any one time throughout the whole day, we'll have a half a dozen people out there taking care of the Park District's interests, just as we would do at any special event, whether we run it or we're doing a rental. When we rent Memorial Park to large groups, our staff is there and we charge the renter for it. It's just part of how we do business to make sure that, A, the customer's needs are being met, B, that everybody's playing by the rules, and C, God forbid something bad happens, we've got trained people on hand.
Terry?
Mike, how many people do you expect, or does the tournament expect?
They're hoping to fill 24 team spots and sell a bunch of tickets to people who are going to watch. So I really don't know. They've done this event indoors at Center Ice of DuPage, I think 3 times in the past, never outdoors. And I've never attended any of them, but I reckon we'll have, a couple, 300 people on the property. Depending on how cold it is,
Sure.
People are going to be coming and going for their games or staying for their games, depending on how comfortable they are.
With that number, and I know that's just guesstimate, but with that number, I presume that the city is not requiring that we hire police service for that?
Not for this event, no.
Okay, good.
And do you think there'll be a parking issue?
Of course not. It'll be completely smooth. No, as we have been. Well, I think we have some activity at the Central Athletic Complex inside. But again, we have, and I have received, believe it or not, I've received compliments from different areas of city management and our ability to direct weekend and evening business to the parking garage, which is, a half a block away from this location. We've made a very, very intentional effort for athletics and for the ice in particular to direct people there. It is free to the public nights and weekends. For those of you at home, the parking garage is literally between the First Trust building and the DuPage Medical Group building. It's a quick trip down an alley and you're on the property. So we don't expect trouble.
Other questions? Can we do this with a voice vote?
Yes.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, pose same sign.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is our agreement for the consultant services for the training, Corporate Learning Institute.
I'll make a motion that we approve an agreement for consultant services by and between the Wheaton Park District and the Corporate Learning Institute for Leadership Training Consulting through December 31, 2017, at a cost not to exceed $68,738.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Morrill and a second by me to approve this agreement with Corporate Learning Institute. Discussion. Ray?
Yeah, I think this is a great program and a great opportunity for the staff. It's amazing that we're going to be able to put some 77 staff people and management people through this program. And as I understand it, there's a total of 27 different sessions, a lot of opportunities for people to attend. A couple of questions I would have is that for the people identified to be a part of this, is it going to be mandatory that they attend, or are they going to be able to cop out if they don't like it?
They will. It is mandatory training, just as and legally required training is mandatory. The process of our annual performance appraisal is evolving and will include successful participation in this program.
Okay, and if there are staff not identified who might wish to attend or participate beyond the 77 that have been identified? Is there an opportunity for them to request or petition to participate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess that the training will include their being trained how to pass this information on to their staff people who aren't at this training?
Correct.
Like a train the trainer?
Yes, exactly.
And I guess the last comment request, I guess, would be is that I'd like to see a final report, summary report on the successes of this and how people have benefited and how we as a district have benefited. It's a lot of money, but it's over a year's period of time. It involves a lot of staff. And I just think it is a great opportunity for the staff.
I thank you. I think I agree.
Yeah, Terry.
Mike, I know we've had some discussion about this, and as I'm trying to refresh my memory, but when you proposed that we hire a full-time staff person for this, and I'm reading here that the cost that included salary and benefits would exceed $100,000. Is that right? I just refresh my memory. I don't recall how much discussion we had on the consulting fee that's just under $69,000. How did we arrive at that dollar amount?
Well, subsequent to the whichever subcommittee meeting it was at, where I received feedback from the board members present that a full-time position was not going to be endorsed at this time. The suggestion of consulting in conjunction with some part-time assistants and using existing staff to manage the program, such as Diana in HR. And myself, there was no consulting dollar shared at that point in time. I went back to Tim at CLI, who's here, by the way, if you wish to speak with him, and said, we want to do this from a consulting standpoint. I need a proposal, and you have it there for you. So in essence, the board that attended the meeting where the proposal for a full-time management level internal effectiveness associate was proposed. If the goal was to save, I don't know specifically if the goal was to save the added costs of benefits and retirement and FICA and everything that goes along with adding a full-time employee. That goal was met. You can see the detail that Tim and his team have put into identifying the costs that go into providing this program for us. It's coincidental that the salary and this amount are very similar, but you see the actual data as backup in your report that the cost that Tim typically charges does equal for these 24 programs with the added planning involved in the vicinity of what I was intending to pay a full-time person. So in short, you're saving the benefit package by doing it through our proven partner with Corporate Learning Institute.
John.
So, the way you summarized it, that's exactly the way I recall it happening. Okay. For me, I guess I don't have a good understanding or a good enough understanding of that. Do we have a $70,000 problem? I think this came back because some staff asked for more training, but at the subcommittee meetings we didn't talk about that. I got to be real honest with you. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I don't have enough information to vote yes to a $70,000 consulting contract tonight. I would love to see this go back to a subcommittee meeting and have Tim come and explain to us exactly what the problem we have and, have an interaction. Well, can we solve it this way? Well, can we do this? Can we just train this staff? It's, we talked about a full-time position, and now we have pretty much a global training program, and maybe we need it, maybe we don't. I just don't think I have enough information tonight to say we need to spend $70,000 on training.
Yeah, Terry?
But that's just my opinion.
Well, based on that, is there an urgency then to approve this tonight?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
If it within what I think is a very respectfully comprehensive report provided on this subject and outlining the need and also what will occur, we have a timeline that we'd like to adhere to, which is why originally the concept was brought up many months ago in subcommittee. Putting this off a month, and I will say as your executive director, and this is, my opinion as the guy whose job it is to see to this sort of thing, that this is not a problem we're solving, it's an opportunity we're taking advantage of. And maybe that's semantics, but I will tell you that, the work that is accomplished through our strategic plan with our continuous improvement program and our organizational alignment program, which you saw the results of today, is exactly the sort of thing that occurs when we train our staff in this way. I consider with a $40 million operating budget, a $70,000 expense to train people that we're not taking the time to train now is a deal. So I would suggest respectfully and strongly that I'd like to see this go to vote today so we can get going on the business of training our staff. And I know that there are opportunities for Tim and myself to have a deeper dialogue about this. I would respect a no vote, but I would ask for a vote.
Ray.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with what Mike just said, is that I don't see where we have a problem. I see this as being an opportunity for the staff to learn and grow and better themselves and do a better job for the Wheaton Park District and the community. We provide opportunities for management to go to state conferences, national conferences, and other conferences. This is a program that's going to provide an opportunity for 66 to 77 lower-level staff who never have an opportunity to go to a lot of these educational opportunities that are out there. And I think that it's a great program. It's a great proposal. And I don't see it as being taking care of a problem. I see it as being an opportunity to provide our staff with the best possible training we can give them.
Terry?
Ray has just related this to conference sessions. Mike, is there a relatedness to conference sessions here?
Absolutely. These are professionally planned and will be professionally executed continuing education programs specifically designed for the Wheaton Park District.
Well, I don't know if I see that analogy, because I see this as almost like a graduate program for all of the staff that are going to be participating. When I spoke to John earlier today, I was still unsure about this. I'd voiced some of my concerns to Mike earlier, but when I read the report, and Tim, the only two things I had questions about were how we were really going to measure the improved efficiency of staff. That was one of the questions I had, and how we were going to measure that there were better products for the community and services for the community. Those were the two things that I wondered about that. But I've been thinking about this more as like a graduate program for the staff, where each month they're going to be getting different units of training.
As long as we're into this, Tim's here.
And Tim is
Can we
here.
have Tim step up?
So maybe Tim
Thanks,
should.
Tim. Then you don't have to yell from the back.
So John, I apologize, but I hadn't looked at it as.
While Tim is making his way to the podium, I would like to, and I think he's going to review this. I would draw your attention to page 4 of the master plan with the heading of goals, objectives, and outcomes, and I think Tim will probably speak to that.
Welcome, Tim.
Welcome. Thank you. I'll start with measure. How about that? So the entire design of the leadership training is based off of your UIC survey. And so working with Don, looking at the data, which is all grounded in research on what makes organizations effective. And so the true measure will be next year's survey. So one of the urgencies of starting it now is that the survey is going to be taken again within the next month or two. So we want to start the survey. We want to take the survey prior to the training. And then the training will roll out throughout the year, ending in somewhere around November, December. First measure becomes back to that. And that's a research-based objectively derived measure of have we succeeded in it. And we will see a change in the data, right? I can't guarantee if it's going to go up or down, but odds are it's going to go up. So that's measure number one. A long way from measure number two is that throughout the program, we're going to be tracking 4 different things. One is just attendance. Okay? Are people coming? If it's a mandatory program, are we showing up? The second thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be tracking, every session is going to have an applied piece. So we're going to have to go back, take the materials, apply it to your business, okay, with a piece of homework called homework, where we're making it real, and then that will be turned in. And so we'll be collecting an assignment along the way and building a package of what does that look like. The third piece we'll look at is a comprehension piece, is how well are people understanding and grasping the materials. And then the fourth piece we'll look at is participation, is how actively involved are people in participating in the program. So at the end of that, you'll have a report that we'll look at, and then we'll track it all, we'll average it all out, so you'll be able to see out of the 77 participants, how did that all roll out. Looking at improvements is a different story. The one thing we could do that we talked about but we weren't sure of is you could build in projects. And so you could actually build a return on investment project in. But that will take more time for the participants, for the leaders. But we could build in saying, as a group of people, we want to work on these 4 or 5 projects to make sure that as we're learning this, as we're going through a financial session, we want to work on saving money. So that would be something. Or how to innovate and create new programs. We can document that, generate the ideas and document it, and then go to implementation. And that would prove a return on investment from a cash perspective. How's that a measure so far?
Well, I thought the most unclear part of what I read, Tim, was the survey. Just because I didn't really, after I read, Mike shared with me some parts of the survey, and I read what the researchers had gathered from the information from the employee survey from this past one. However, I didn't see how we are going to be able to really measure, what is it that we're really comparing here? Is that number going to go down in terms of that? Is there going to be more trust factors? I mean, what is it that we're really measuring?
So overall from the culture survey, the engagement survey, is what we want to see is an overall increase in engagement, okay, over your total population. Okay, and there's data that shows a more engaged workforce, right, is going to generate a more profitable, a more organized, a more mission-driven organization. And so there's plenty of data that substantiates that sort of increase will increase the overall impact of your organization.
And then how do we gauge that for the community benefits? How are we going to measure that from the community benefits?
Let me think about that.
Okay, because what I saw was that we had 2 surveys. We have a survey of employees, but we also have a community-wide survey that we just did. That survey tells us many things that the community would like. And really, I'm interested in how are we going to integrate those 2 things, is not just what the employees are seeking to make their job more beneficial, but what the community is seeking from the Park District to make it more beneficial to them as well. And the community has a very high value of this Park District. They think a great deal of this Park District. I'm not trying to denigrate it in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying we've got a community survey that's brand new that tells us it. There are little sections all over where they say we want more of this.
So I would suggest
I'm thinking, can we at the end of the year, are we going to see some of those things being offered to? Are we going to see cancellation rates down? And part of what the reports we heard earlier indicated, we're going to get cancellation rates down. We're going to see some of those things happening. Those are the measurements I'm looking for. So
I could meet with Diane in the survey group, and we'll look at how do we integrate that, right, to see if we can build that into the design.
John?
Okay, so then, Tim, my question would be, you said that we're going to run this program for 70-something employees. We'll measure before and we'll measure after, and we'll see if it worked. Okay? Why wouldn't we, if we're not sure that it's going to do exactly what we want, why wouldn't we do it first with a control group in a quicker setting see if we're getting the results we want before we run it out to the whole park district?
That's an approach to take. I would say the reason not to do it, let's say the reason to do it. So you can prove something up, right? You're going to have a smaller amount of people. Will the design be the same? I'm not quite sure. So definitely, it's definitely a doable piece. The other part on that just becomes timing and rollout. If there's urgency to do it now, we'll do it now. The reasons not to do it is that the content and the materials we're using are proven. They're not things that we're making up.
The DISC system?
The DISC system, situational leadership, these are proven tools that have been around 30, 40 years. The idea of working on conflict management, enhanced communication in any organization will prove up to be successful. To look at things like getting better financial knowledge of tools and different systems and processes will only increase the ability to do better business. Prototypes don't necessarily show all that. The other byproduct that you'll see that a prototype won't show is the camaraderie and the networking and the deepening of the morale and communication between people as they're networking together in these sessions. And so we're not only teaching, but we're building strength within community. Prototype won't pick that up.
John?
I have a question as well. You were saying that we'd want to start the programming after our next employee survey, so that's our baseline.
Correct.
And that's due when? What are we doing the next?
February, March, I believe. February into early March, right, Chris? January, February?
January, February.
Thank you.
All right. And so then we wouldn't want to start programming until after that. So we've got a month's time.
We're scheduling orientation right now for the dates that we're looking at would be the 2nd of February, the 6th of February, I believe.
But the survey is going to be done by then, or
be launched and done.
Yes, we're orienting. We're doing orientation sessions prior to launching the program, so people are not going in cold. So the orientation sessions will be neutral from a standpoint of impacting the survey in any way. It's just going to be, here's what we're about to embark upon. But it's important to get it done in advance. As far as the cost is concerned, we have developed a relationship with the University of Illinois at Chicago, whereby we are getting very, very expensive survey work done for us at no cost. The level of detail on the surveys that we handed out at the last subcommittee meetings, you have every piece of data we've collected. Those two surveys in cost, if we went out and did it and paid for it, would exceed the $69,000 where we are attempting to pay our proven consultant here to deliver a program to nearly 80 people. We have taken a great deal of time and energy to ask our employees down. And remember, the deal is alignment and continuous improvement down to the front line, the very people who assisted in writing this strategic plan. If we ask them questions and don't respond to their answers, I think that would be a pretty unfortunate move. And I don't mean this to be, overly dramatic, but we're a rather large organization, and it takes time to turn an organization in a direction. And it takes a great deal of work to turn an organization together that gets all of its work done through human beings. So I would say with the amount of money we've saved to solicit feedback, to be a great employer by asking for input by everybody for free, I think we can turn around and spend $70,000 across 24 education sessions that will impact positively not just the 77 people or 70 some odd that go through the program, but the balance of the up to 1,200 people a year we employ. Our work is done through people. We cannot continue to try to be efficient in our execution of people.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Mike, will you be expecting some periodic reports from Tim on attainment of the objectives as we move through here?
Yes, and at the end of the program, again, I'll draw your attention to page 4. We will receive an individualized leader assessment from CLI.
No,
Every person will get.
That's at the end. I'm talking about during the course of this year program.
Correct.
Will you be meeting with Tim? Will you? Okay.
Yes, but every participant will receive an individualized report at the end of this program. I will receive an executive report on the overall impact and success. We will identify future leaders through this program who will be running this agency in years to come at much higher and more responsible levels. And Jane, your point is dead on. Tie it to the people that we serve. Absolutely, that's what we need to do. And I know that our program development charter, led by Vicki, and the measurement, survey, and analysis team, led by Bruce and Christina, are absolutely going to evolve this concept into what it is that they're doing.
I would also give you just a little bit of information from a report that just came out. So there's an organization called ATD, which is Association of Talent Development, world organization, 50,000 members. Internal training people, external training people. And the data for 2016 shows that the average organization spends about 35 hours a year on this kind of training at a cost of around $1,350 per person. If you break it down into the public administration sections of that, okay, most public administrations, as you cut out that data, are doing about 24 hours of training. 27% of that is all leadership focused. So public administration organizations like yours, compared to the rest of the world, are spending about 2 to 3 times as much focus on leadership development as organizations that are not government focused. The average cost, the spend for an average cost is about $850 for those 24 hours of training per year, per individual. We're coming in at about 38 hours for the same or less price. And so if you're looking for a comparison globally, you're getting more for the same amount of money or a less amount of money than all the organizations. And we're bringing you up to the benchmark where everybody else is as far as training and development.
So I have 2 comments. The first is, I think in this situation, a consultant is superior to hiring somebody, at least after a year. If we have a look at the results and it doesn't appear there's been any effect, it's a lot easier to discontinue consulting services than it is to fire somebody we've just hired. It's not a policy I'd like to get into. So from that standpoint, I think it's a better choice than hiring somebody. I like this back and forth we're having. This is my second point. I would much prefer to have this at a subcommittee meeting level where Tim would have come in and we'd have had a price tag attached to it and we'd have had some time to question them and go back and forth and then sit and think about it. I'm a slow processor. So it'd be nice to have this at a subcommittee meeting rather than in a board packet and then at a public meeting like this. Well, subcommittee meeting is public, but at the standard board meeting like this. So that's just my comment.
Valid
Any
point
other
by John.
comments?
Just a comment from me. I've heard enough now, and it certainly would have been helpful that way. But we'll just figure that we did it tonight. So I think I've heard enough to support the expenditure based on exposing the employees to training that they might not otherwise obtain through the normal process. And at least we can do it in house and. We know who's delivering the program, so I think that's helpful too. So I think the back and forth, as John would call it, I think we didn't have it before, but we had it tonight, and I'm supportive of the program.
We're in the people business, and I see us investing in our people.
All right, we've had enough discussion. Are we ready to vote? Okay, we have a motion by Morrill and a second by me. Let's have a roll call vote on this motion.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Reports from the staff. Are we going to start with Matt?
We have our Adult Education Annual Report. Matt is here to
Matt's been
respond to
waiting.
any questions you may have or comments. Remember, folks, that I do get feedback from the community that they love it when people speak into a microphone. So if there's a question, come on up.
All right, questions for Matt about the adult ed report.
I have a question. I've got a comment.
Well,
I raised my
okay.
hand. You
Oh,
didn't.
sorry, Ray. I didn't see it, buddy.
You're out of order, me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm out of order. Note that, Donna.
Go ahead, Ray. You start, and then Terry can make his comment.
Okay. I like the concept of partnering with other park districts. I think that's probably with the adult ed program in particular, the only way we're going to be successful. I suspect that it might be the only way we'll be successful with our pool operations in the future is if we partner with other agencies. And I also like the looking ahead page that you have. It shows you're thinking out of the box in regards to programming for the adult ed program, and I think it's a good scenario that you've presented there. So I like that looking ahead page.
Thank you very much.
That's all I had. Thank you. Now, go ahead, Terry.
Terry?
Just a quick comment. The exec summary was, as usual, helpful. And, I just wanted to recognize the fact that it's another cooperative and collaboration, between the park district and the school district. And I don't think we can have enough of those. So good work.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Matt, I just want to ask you,
Yes, ma'am.
on page 11, do you have the report in front of you?
Yes, ma'am.
The total participation was 1,426 people. The total cooperative programming partnership for participation was 148. That was between all the park districts?
Yes.
And then the average number of participants per season is 37.
Correct.
That's per program, or?
That's per season. So winter, spring, fall, summer. So that was the breakdown. So it's 37 from the co-op for winter, spring, for the brochure.
Oh, 37
Yes.
from the co-op. Got it.
Essentially 10% so far of our
Got it.
participation is coming from our new cooperative efforts, which is a pretty good number.
This co-op is a little bit like what the Active Agers program used to be. Is that kind of what it replaced?
Yeah.
It's more districts. It looks like more park districts.
Yeah, it's not simply, that was a WSRA initiative. We've obviously reached out to districts regardless of which SRA they're a part of.
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Nice job.
Okay. Mike, your report.
I have nothing to add. Appreciate your time and attention today.
Any other staff reports you want to comment on, John?
Yeah, I wanted to just congratulate Sue and the rest of the crew at Cosley for a record-setting year during the Christmas season, Christmas tree sales and so forth. I think that's the best year they've had on record, which great job there. The other thing I wanted to comment on was the ribbon cutting at the Central Athletic Complex for the sheets of ice. The Lieutenant Governor was there. We had a great turnout. I don't know where you get all these people to show up to these things, Bernard, but it's a very good turnout.
She does a good job.
It was a great event, Margie. The figure skaters were great. The turnout was wonderful. I was able to take my son to the ice maybe a week before, so we went out on a Saturday night. It was freezing cold. All there were hockey players, and he got in a pickup game of hockey, and I just stood there watching them. How great is that, watching a bunch of kids play pickup hockey at 8 o'clock at night on a freezing cold night? It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing we've done with that staff's done, and it's congratulations on that.
Thank you, John. Ray.
Yeah, I would like to also congratulate Mary Beth and Rob for the hard work both their departments did and are continuing to do to get that skating rinks open and running. And I echo what John said. It's pretty cool when you go there and you see how all the people out there skating and enjoying themselves. And now that we're going to be in 50-degree weather, we'll still have ice. Nobody else will.
Terry?
Yeah, we're like a broken record here, but, I think that this ribbon cutting was another collaborative effort. I know that, Rob's people were involved, Margie's people, Mary Beth's. Who else was involved in setting that whole thing up? Whoever you were, good job because it was a great turnout. Very, very well done. And once again, it was well attended. Just a couple of other shout-outs. I think it's important that, once again, Cosley Zoo is coming through. We had a record revenue year for our tree sales and so forth. Hadn't seen anything like that in a while. Another, kudos to must be our zoo and the park district. I noted in the reports that we had about 220 applicants for one zookeeper position. That's pretty significant. And to narrow that down to 5, that had to take a lot of staff work. But 220 applicants for one zookeeper position, that's pretty cool. Has that position been hired?
Yeah.
Looks like we made an offer.
Yeah, it's been filled.
Cool. But yeah, we're rocking and rolling with Cosley. I also noted, and who's here from banquets? Anybody? Or just you, Andy? That's what I thought. 2017, we've already got 71 weddings booked for Arrowhead, compared to at this time last year about 54. So we must be doing a whole lot right over there. I just wish it was bigger. We could accommodate bigger parties. Wendy gets a nod. Pool pass sales. The total is up, about 20,000 better than where we were at this time last year, or at least when the pool pass sales were going. So, once again, I think we're doing what we need to do. And we haven't had much in the way of cross-country skiing, obviously, but we have had a little bit in any event. Great job by staff as usual, so thank you for all your efforts.
Okay, all right. I'd like to see if we could have a motion to go into closed session.
I think we're recessing, are we not? We're coming
We
back
are
out?
recessing, and then we will come back out into open session.
Yeah, and I think it's just for the purpose of closed
Review.
session meetings. Am I right about that?
Yeah. E, approval, review, and release of closed session minutes, 5 ILCS 120/2C21.
I would so move to recess under that ILCS site.
We have a motion by me. Is there a second?
Second.
And second by Vyers. Roll call.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly?
Yes.
President Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome to wait for us to come back into open session, but you're also free to go now. Really go.